What's up, guys? Your boy Benny. Whenever Elon Musk posts interesting, you know that something is about to go down. Now, Elon Musk has funded many big lawsuits against huge media companies, the biggest media company in the world, actually, the Walt Disney Company that owns like half of American media. Now, Elon Musk is saying it's very interesting that Donald Trump is suing media outlets for $10 billion, claims bias. Oh yeah, baby. Trump has filed a lawsuit against the New York Times, CBS, and other media outlets for accusing them of defamation and political bias. The suit's demanding $10 billion in damages. Target coverage Trump calls industrial-scale libel and election interference. Oh yeah, baby. Trump is suing for billions the media companies that have rigged the game against him, often using the public airwaves, right? This is what it gets. This is what is so infuriating about what they try to do with Saturday Night Live and shoehorning Kamala Harris in there. Is because when you're on public airwaves, you have a duty, an obligation to cover both candidates equally. And by not giving Trump a chance to do that, by not opening up the invitation to do that, you're behaving in a way that will strip you of your broadcast license. This is something that the Trump administration should severely look into, because ABC, CBS, and NBC, these are all public airwaves, along with PBS. They are brought in for free. The American public is taxed for them, and they are effectively given to these networks for free, these massive platforms. But you have rights and obligations under that, and of course they sabotaged Trump. The ABC News debate was a straight-up hit job against Donald Trump. So this is a rightful lawsuit. Here we go. Trump sues billions. Media says biased against him. President Trump-elect intensifies long-standing media hostility, filing lawsuits against New York Times and CBS. With only 2 months left until Donald Trump returns to the White House, the president-elect and convicted felon. Wait. President-elect and convicted felon. This should be part of the lawsuit. You realize he's not a convicted felon until the judge actually overseeing the case convicts him and sentences him. That hasn't happened. So you should add this to the lawsuit. You should add the Guardian to the lawsuit. Okay. Has been waging lawfare with a flurry of lawsuits against media companies and publishers that have been critical of him. The lawsuits come amid growing fears the second Trump administration would mean for press freedoms. Oh, what was the first one? The first one was the greatest moment in American media history. Your ratings have never been higher. You never made more money off advertisements. So shut up, right? Literally, shut up. You can't wait. You probably voted for Trump. I mean, if you were smart, you would. I did. Press freedom, Trump intensifies long-standing hostility towards media, which he called the enemy camp in his victory speech. On Thursday, he's right about that, the Columbia Journalism Review revealed that just days before the presidential election, a Trump lawyer, Edward Plazik, issued a letter to New York Times and Penguin Random House and demanded $10 billion in damages over the articles critical of Trump. The letter joins a series of frivolous lawsuits along with other media companies that Trump accused politically targeting him. In the letter, which was reviewed by the Columbia Journalism Review, accuses articles of authors Peter Baker, Michael Schmidt, Suzanne Craig, and Russ Bentner of false and defamatory statements, to Trump adding New York Times full-throated mouthpiece of the Democrat Party, industrial-scale libel against political opponents. You are entitled to free speech. You are not entitled to lying about somebody in order to destroy them. You don't have that right. There are libel laws, there's defamation laws in this country. You can't just say anything you want. You can't just say the most heinous things you can think about somebody and say it and shout it as loudly as possible, publish it, print it, run it on air, and then expect for that person to not bring damages if you damaged them, right? So you're entitled to say, you're entitled to say Joe Biden's a bad president. You're not entitled to make up crimes, right? To manufacture crimes about Joe Biden. I mean, if you want to see the crimes of Joe Biden, just watch the way Joe Biden behaves with any child. He literally put a baby's foot in his mouth like multiple times on camera during the White House Halloween. So creepy. Thank God that Americans ejected that predator from the White House. Addressing New York Times, the letter accused the outlet of harboring every intention of defaming and disparaging the world-renowned Trump brand that consumers have long associated with excellence, luxury, and success in entertainment, hospitality, real estate, among other industries, as well as falsely and maliciously defaming and disparaging the candidate for the highest office in the United States. In response to the letter, the newspaper referred Plazik to Penguin Random House over its accusation of a book that it published that also did the exact same thing. CRJ further reports that on November 5th, lawyers for Trump's campaign chief issued a letter to the Daily Beast demanding the outlet correct articles that stated that Chris LaCivita, as Trump's campaign director, raised $22 million to help Trump's re-election. In response to the letter, the Daily Beast added an editor's note to the article stating that, based on further evidence of FEC records, the correct total is 19. The Beast regrets the error. The article has also been updated to make clear the payments, blah, blah, blah. Okay. This was not sufficient enough for the campaign, and so now they're going in. So Donald Trump suing for billions. The media came to someone saying, you cannot be this dense. You have the right to say whatever you want, but you face legal consequences if you commit libel with malicious intent. Anyone purporting to be a professional journalist should have learned this in undergrad. This is making a lot of news and a lot of attention. And quite frankly, it's hard to sue media companies for libel because it was a ruling called New York Times versus Sullivan in America. But one, you can do that, and two, this sets the media on its heels. This says we are ready to fight back. This says you can't just use your media organ as a mouthpiece. You can't just use the public airwave. One person, if somebody starts a podcast, I don't care. There are no successful left-wing podcasts, so it is irrelevant. But if somebody starts a podcast, let's say there was somebody who was on the left that started a podcast and they were successful. Chances are that's not going to happen. Anyway, I don't care because you're not using the public airwaves. You're not using taxpayer-funded municipalities to push ABC, CBS, NBC, and PBS, NPR. This is government-funded, taxpayer-subsidized news that is being cudgeled against one of the two parties in this country. Trump sues CBS News, 60 Minutes, over interview with Kamala Harris. Network says the suit is completely without merit. What happened here is CBS ran a preview of their interview with Kamala Harris where they proved that they changed her answer. So in the preview, her answer is different than what they actually ran for the interview. So they were able to edit out Kamala Harris's answer. They were able to splice it all up. And then they refused to release the actual documentation of what was said, the transcript. So yeah, this is why media is failing. First victims of CNN layoffs reveal, yeah, high-paid host who insisted he was leaving to pursue podcast. Well, what do you know? Mr. Election Rigger himself. Do you remember when he wouldn't let Donald Trump talk about Hunter Biden's laptop during the debate in 2020? I do. CNN anchor Chris Wallace was the first network star given the boot as the channel faced staffing bloodbath in the face of cratering ratings. Puck News reported that Wallace, who was paid $7 million a year, was told these two shows on the network were being axed. $7 million a year. Nobody watches Chris Wallace, dude. Nobody has ever tuned in to see Chris Wallace say or do anything. He was told he could stay on in a greatly reduced role as an analyst for a smaller salary, but decided not to. Former Fox News star ended up quitting instead. His decision was entirely on his own. He now claims to be pursuing a career in streaming and podcasting. Good luck, Chris. He's 77, although he does not appear to have a job lined up. It's not a job lined up. You make your own job. You carve out your own niche. You do it yourself. You do what like Megyn Kelly did. Megyn Kelly left the cushy limousines and 50-person staffs of corporate media to do her own thing. She's doing great, doing better than ever, right? But you're going to have to build it yourself. This is highly irregular, Megyn Kelly says, of Oprah getting paid by Kamala Harris $1 million. Dude, I mean, so Kamala Harris's FEC reports, you can find time and time again where Kamala Harris is paying media, buying off media to endorse her, to do events like to do live streams for her, $1 million. The subject of an interview does not pay for the set production costs, the interviewer does. Even more shocking when the costs are $1 million, especially shady when it's a presidential candidate. This is grossly unethical. Oprah needs to be fully investigated for this. This is like how you launder money. This is like money laundering. And did you see this stupid live stream? There's no way it costs $1 million. This is high level, high scale money laundering, which is really what the corporate media has turned into, which is why I'll be so glad if Donald Trump bankrupts them. At the very least, it's a shot across the bow, ladies and gentlemen. Don't say there weren't warning signs. It's your boy Benny. Like, share, and subscribe. See ya.